Hi everyone. Today is about what I like to call the magical 168, and in that, a word that we all know well, but maybe don't utilize as well as we could, efficiency. The magical 168 is a box that I've created for myself that I've utilized over my life to better myself in the time that I spend doing various things and trying to understand what's important and what's not, and then prioritizing, and then trying to get as much in a repetitive form for each week and each hour I spend doing whatever I think is the most important to do. And if we look at our lives and we look at what we are as human beings, what it takes to do as much as we can is pretty spectacular when you start to do things that allow you to think deeper, or allow you to have healthier relationships, or allow you to worry less or stress less or eat better. And thinking about that is one of the most important things on this path that I'm trying to kind of take everyone along on with me. And the things that we kind of do each week are sleep, we eat, we try to exercise, we have recreational time, and we work. And work is a really interesting term because it's something that is abstract and isn't finite for anyone or exact. Everyone has their own version of whatever that means. Some people work and they trade their 168, a portion of it, for currency, or they trade their 168 and they volunteer to help people, or they invest their time spending it with people without any reward other than the emotional uplift that they get. And all these different exchanges that we have and all these equations that we do in our subconscious kind of define how we feel, who we are, and in a sense how efficient we are with our lives. And since it's a finite resource and we aren't sure exactly how much it is, it's imperfect, I feel it very important to take it and analyze it with each individual and try to figure out how to make it the most for everyone, because we're all different, and at the end of the day we can only do what we can do, and that's something we have to remember. So if we look at mine, I'll kind of give you an example. So there's 168 hours in a week, right? There's a percentage of time that you have to sleep. Our body has to recover. There's a percentage of time that you need downtime for, where you're thinking and you're decompressing. And if you overlap these times, often they'll be less efficient. For example, when you lay in bed for 5 to 7 to 9 hours, and you aren't asleep all this time, or you aren't in REM sleep, then you're in a sense being less efficient than perfection, or an absolute human form, how far you can go with it and get the most out of it. So when you're awake, you can think deeper, or you can be clearer. Or when you're exercising, you have more energy to get more exercise in that amount of time. And when you do these things and you take 1 hour of exercise and you go for, and you burn 700 calories, well then 1 hour is 700 calories. But if you burn 500 calories, well then it takes a little longer to get to 700 calories. And if you burn 1,000 calories, well now you can get it done in 45 minutes. And now you've got your own manipulative time that you have control over, and your effort makes you more or less efficient. But what you have to remember is you have to control your effort. And you have to do that by giving yourself the fundamental tools that allow you to put in more. So you really have to focus on how much sleep you need to get as much as you can done, and how often you can do that, and getting some sort of cycle in place where day one you have 6 hours of sleep, and then you work for 7 hours, and then you decompress for 3 hours, and you exercise for 45 minutes, and then kind of putting that all in order, right? Within our families and within anything that we might do, and we have to figure out when we're going to do all these things. And we say all the time, someone says, hey, can you do this? And you say, no, I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. And that's really interesting, right? Because what does have to? Whose choice is it? Is it your choice? Are we free? I don't know. Sure seems like if we have to do a lot of things that we aren't quite as clear cut as we thought we were about those things and our freedom within. So things that I've learned inside of this are specifically when we worry about our families and we worry about the support that they need. And it's not just financial or emotional, it's spiritual, and it's a presence that you have to have when you're the exceptional case in certain environments, which many of you that I'm talking to now are. And you know that responsibility, and you know how it falls on you. and you know consciously and subconsciously how inefficient or efficient it makes you based on how effortless it is for you to do those things for each person that you need to in your family, and you prioritize these things. And then you prioritize your own time and your downtime, and you feel like, if I've done this for 4 hours, then I can give myself 10 hours and take it off because I'm so efficient in my work time. But you can take that a step further, and you can take that downtime, and then you can compress that as well. And when you do that, then you get more time to do other things with. And then you can be a little more apt at looking for foods that you might want to eat and learn about and get a little healthier. You can start researching things that you're a little more passionate about if you're worried about not being able to start a new business, or not being able to get into shape, or not being able to sleep well, or your relationship suffering, whatever it is. There's so many issues and barriers that stop us from being our maximum level of efficient when we need to create new ideas and new problems. So start to realize that time is an illusion, obviously, and 168 hours is just a measurement for a box that you can use and you can section out yourself. For example, for me, I started when I was younger, and I would sleep 15, 16, my diet was pretty poor. I was eating a lot of sugar, ton of carbs, etc., and little protein, little fiber, and my energy levels were low. I would drink a lot of caffeine, rise, crash, which many of us do, and we still do today. And it would make me have these cycles, these bigger cycles. Instead of these 24-hour cycles, I was essentially on like a 28-hour cycle, which was really interesting because I would sleep for like 15 hours and be up for like 13, or sleep for 13 and be up for 15. And instead of being up for 14 and sleeping for 10, or being up for 16 and sleeping for 8, my schedule was different. And so that made a lot of conflict in my life, and then it made it more difficult to be more efficient because I thought, I have to adhere to these rules around me, and I have to understand them to be more efficient and within their parameters. What I didn't realize was I could change my own habits a bit, and I could change my thought processes about care or about emotional instability, and allowing others to affect that. And for me, it was really unique because I knew how I affected people around me. My awareness was pretty high, and so when I would send out a butterfly of emotional anger, someone would get it, and then I would extrapolate where it would go, and then I would see how it would affect other people, and it wore on me, and it took even more out of me, and it made me less and less efficient, and I really couldn't accomplish much. And many of you have seen me lapse in thought a lot, and I go into these long thought processes where I just look in a corner kind of, and I just kind of stare off into the sunset, and everyone just kind of ignores it because they know I'm just going somewhere crazy. And what I'm really doing is thinking about all the effects that I have on various things and how they might negatively or positively impact, and trying to be more aware of that. And in that I'm trying to be more efficient, not only within my 168 hours of, okay, I sleep 6 hours, I work out 2 hours, I have a lot of I meditate for an hour, and then I cook a meal therapeutically for 45 minutes, then I get emotionally uplifted by spending time with loved ones for 2.3 hours, and I do all these things and I spread them out. I spend time with different people that I talk to on a regular basis for guidance or for counseling. I counsel them, and vice versa. It's always a reciprocal thing, which is really cool. Or I budget time to read and further my own mental development. What it did is, the more and more I did of it, the more and more I made myself efficient, right? And this is, now keep in mind, I've been doing this for a long time, and this might be a new concept for a lot of you to take it to the extremes, to be able to go with your mind and think about all new possibilities instead of living in reality. And it got me to the point where I didn't care about currency at all, you see, because I started to budget my time 1 hour a day to pay a lot of bills. And then I would realize that 1 hour I could even use better because I didn't care about the frivolous things that I had around me. So I started to even compress that to 45, and then 30, and then 15, and then 10, and then 5. And eventually I took that time and I started to use it to learn. And then I took some of it and I started to learn. I started to exercise more, and then I took some of it and I started to spend more time with other people, and I took some more and I started to use it for introspection. And then pretty quickly, what you can do is if you use the pie chart in your head for each day, 24 hours, and then you use, and if that isn't a big enough sample size for you to get everything in that you want to get in a repetitive manner, I suggest going to either 72 or 168 and trying to create some sort of circle for yourself where every 7 days you work on the things that you want to work on with your family, and you hold yourself accountable, and you work on the things you want to work on with your diet, and you work on the things you want to work on in your career, and you prioritize. And you do them over and over and over. And things that take you an hour will quickly take you 55 minutes, will take you 50, will take you 45, will take you 30, will take you 20, will take you 15. And pretty soon you're going to look up. You're going to be going like this. Don't make fun of my circles. You're going to be going like that. And you're going to look up and you're going to be like, wow, I got 100 extra hours. Maybe this efficiency thing is a pretty good thing. And maybe if I hold myself accountable instead of putting it on my bosses, or putting it on my bank, or putting it on the idea that I have to have a new vehicle, or the idea that I have to eat at a certain place, or the idea that I have to spend time where I don't feel it necessary, I better go look into something new. I better go see what it is I really love, what I'm really passionate about, what math problems I really like. I better read a new book. I better create a new relationship. I better add some value to something. And then we get more efficient and it starts to build, and then you see it'll just keep going. And what's cool about that is pretty soon everyone will be going. And then some really cool stuff will be made. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. So 168. Think about your 168, your 7 days a week, what you do with it every week. Think about it. Make a pie chart, really. A lot of you are brilliant. I mean, brilliant. Make a pie chart. Make a graph. Think about the highs and lows of your emotions and how inefficient it is to do something when you're a low emotion that you need high emotion for, and think about how you can work on that, because that's really important. So, okay, work on that. Think about your subconscious, your conscious thoughts, and when you should be doing what, and how to get sleep better, and when you should think about the things that really matter, and when you shouldn't, so you can stay in the moment. And I know it's a little scattered, and I'm sorry, but I'll try to clean it up a bit next time. 168, that's all I'm saying. All right, talk to you guys soon.